Okay, Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Ashok ji, you start with the prayer. Sanjay ji, you can do repentance, and beloved God,
Jai
Mama
Baba.
ji will do.
Jai Baba.
अवतार
Jai
अवतार
Baba.
जय जय बाबा अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय यूनिवर्सल प्रेयर ओ परवरदिगार the preserver and protector of all you are without beginning and without end non-dual beyond comparison and none can measure you you are without color without expression without form and without attributes you are unlimited and unfathomable beyond imagination and conception eternal and imperishable. You are indivisible and none can see you, but with eyes divine, you always were, you always are, and you always will be. You are everywhere, you are in everything, and you are also beyond everywhere and beyond everything. You are in the firmament and in the depths. You are manifest and unmanifest on all planes and beyond all planes. You are in the three worlds and also beyond the three worlds. You are imperceptible and independent. You are the creator, the Lord of Lords, the knower of all minds and hearts. You are omnipotent and omnipresent. Your knowledge infinite, power infinite, and bliss infinite. You are the ocean of knowledge, all knowing, infinitely knowing, the knower of the past, the present, and the future, and you are knowledge itself. You are all merciful and eternally benevolent. You are the soul of souls, the one with infinite attributes. You are the trinity of truth, knowledge, and bliss. You are the source of truth, the ocean of love. You are the ancient one, the highest of the high. You are Prabhu and Parmeshwar. You are the beyond God and the beyond God also. You are Parabrahma, Allah, Ilahi, Yazdan, Ahurmazd, and God the Beloved. Your name is the only one worthy of worship.
Sanjay ji.
Jai Baba. We repent, O God, most merciful, for all our sins, for every thought that was false or unjust or unclean, for every word spoken that ought not to have been spoken, for every deed done that ought not to have been done. We repent for every deed and word and thought inspired by selfishness, and for every deed and word and thought inspired by hatred. We repent especially for every lustful thought and every lustful action, for every lie, for all hypocrisy, for every promise given but not fulfilled, and for all slander and backbiting. Most especially also, we repent for every action that brought ruin to others, for every word and deed that has given others pain, and for every wish that pain should befall others. In your unbounded mercy, we ask you to forgive us, O God, for all these sins committed by us, and to forgive us for our constant failures to think and speak and act according to your will.
Prayer of Baba's lovers and Mandali. Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more and more and more and still yet more, till we become worthy of union with you, and help us all to hold fast to Baba's Daman till the very end. Avtar Meher Baba
Meher
Ki
Baba
Jai.
ki jai. Thank you very much. with that, welcome to session 33 of God Speaks reading. We stopped on page 124, and let's continue from there. So we are going through the process of the identification of uh, the process of evolution of consciousness, where consciousness now identifies with feelings and thoughts. And right now, he's approaching the second section of the mind, which is the feelings, right? So let's start from there. Tar Meher Baba ki jai. This identification with the second section of mind, feelings, is the state of God in the man state where the predominant aspect of divine love, which eventually leads to union with God, that is, realization of the God state consciously, is manifested most forcefully. Hence, it should be clear that the fifth plane of the mental sphere is the state of full consciousness of thoughts only. The mastery over control and creation of thoughts alone is established, and there is no mastery or control over feelings of desires and emotions. But the sixth plane of the mental sphere is the state of full consciousness of feelings, and thus the mastery over control and creation of feelings is established, and no more scope is now left for even a single thought to penetrate into the domain of feelings. The sixth plane consciousness is thoughtless and governs the feelings of all gross and subtle conscious states of God. This is often misinterpreted as mastery over the hearts of all those in the gross and subtle conscious states of God. He does not govern or regulate the so-called hearts, but controls and governs that second section of mind in the mental sphere which emanates feelings for emotions and desires. So this is the fact. He does not regulate hearts, but controls and oops. Okay. The loving of God and the longing for his union is really and fully demonstrated in the sixth plane of consciousness. Only when the sixth plane of the mental sphere is transcended does illusion vanish with the vanishing of the last trace of impressions, and reality is realized. Mental conscious God in the man state on the sixth plane is still experiencing duality because God in this state of consciousness finds himself as mind and not as God. This experience of duality lingers on and on until the final involution of consciousness attains the seventh plane of consciousness. This is the final and seventh stage in the process of involution of consciousness, when the full consciousness of God in the man state is now fully withdrawn inwards, so completely that it is now fixed and focused on to Big H himself rather onto the objects of his own creation. So the final and seventh stage, fully withdrawn inwards. Now, that full
Jai Baba,
consciousness. Yeah,
I have a
Kama.
comment. Go
Sure.
up a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay. No, that last line on the same page.
yeah.
next page, the top,
Oh, okay. The first line.
that
Yeah.
one. Fixed and focused onto himself rather than onto the objects of his own creation. Very important statement out here, which means that you are the creator, preserver, dissolver. It's so subtly put out here, but what it actually tells you is that all of us are creating our own universe. And this is only realized when you reach the seventh plane where you see yourself, right? Fixed and focused onto himself, which is the capital self, and then rather than onto the objects of his own creation. So
Correct.
each drop soul is basically creating its own multiverse, and that is the whole play out here. Hey, Baba.
Okay. So over the last 5 pages, Baba has already moved to uh, the. So when he's referring to the consciousness, he is referring to God in this state. So he's already moved to that voice, right? So we noticed that in the last week itself, right? So if you see, I had underlined that the first time we encountered it.
Right. But what I want to say is God in the man state, God in the animal state, God is in
Yeah,
every
yeah,
state, in all the different
correct.
kingdoms.
Hmm.
So that line kind of summarizes everything that, you know, this whole
See here.
imagination that is going on. Yes.
Yeah,
So basically, this
yeah,
God in the man state means God is in every state, in every different kingdom, is
hmm,
basically God.
correct. Absolutely.
Only thing is, he's unconscious of himself even till the sixth plane. Only in the seventh plane, he realizes that he and God are one. He's not the
Correct.
object of desire. That is
Yeah,
the point. Deva.
absolutely. Yeah. Let's go to 125, I think we were at. Yeah, continuing. Now that full consciousness has been fully involved, the objects of nothingness, which apparently appeared to exist, vanish completely with their impressions. So all the nothingness ceases to exist for the one who is in the seventh plane. With complete annihilation of impressions, of the associations of the nothing, big nothing, the impression, the consciousness of God in the man state is spontaneously transformed into the unimpressioned or impressionless consciousness of God, which makes God in the man state experience the passing away in his original state of absolute vacuum. So the unimpressioned or impressionless consciousness of God, which makes God in the man state experience the passing away in his original state of absolute vacuum. So this is nirvana. And
I think you
he
should also
uses the
underline spontaneously transform the word spontaneously.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah. Yeah. It is but natural, I continue. It is but natural that the full consciousness, fully involved and now free from even the slightest trace of any impression, should give no other experience but that of the original absolute vacuum state of God, which once prevailed and which is now experienced consciously. So,
So
this
is
is
he
the
talking about the state one of God, the Paratpar Parabrahma state which is unconscious of?
no, because he is not, then there is no consciousness, whereas this is a conscious experience. It's a conscious experience of the real, I mean, it's the conscious experience of the absolute vacuum. I don't think it can be equated to beyond the beyond state. Because in the beyond state, there is no consciousness even. Correct?
So
Or it
this
was a
is
quiz question.
so this is God in the beyond state.
No, it's a state by itself, right? It's nirvana.
Can we
We
read this
are in
again?
the seventh plane. We are in the seventh plane, and it is a state where you are now experiencing the absolute vacuum state of God. So if you take the charts, so you're already here now.
No, no, no. But the
Yeah.
line,
Okay,
sorry,
I go back
if
to
you go
text.
back to
Yeah.
that paragraph,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Can we
says the
read it again?
original absolute vacuum state of God, which once prevailed and which is now
Mm.
experienced consciously.
Yes.
So this last 5 words, which is now experienced consciously, means before that it was unconscious of the absolute vacuum state of God, which is actually the state one of God, actually, from my understanding. But I
State
think as
one
we
of God.
read this whole thing, we'll understand that. Sorry?
No, no, I agree with you because you pointed out this once prevail. Agree partially in the sense it is the state beyond the beyond state with consciousness. Because now it's a conscious experience. It is the
Exactly,
absolute
exactly.
yeah. Yeah. So the difference
Correct.
between beyond the beyond and nirvana is in one there is consciousness. In
Yes.
the nirvana state, yeah.
I mean, consciousness is means it is conscious of itself, right? In the first stage of fana, real fana, final fana, which is nirvana, which we will read now. I think as we go further, it will become much more clearer. So let's try to discuss that later then. Okay.
No, but very good point. And in the sense that it's something that prevailed earlier, but now you're having a conscious experience, and which is the goal of all of the Leela and everything.
Yes,
Everything is
yes.
only
Those
driving
3 lines.
towards.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah. Let's continue. This full consciousness, fully involved, is the super consciousness or the Maha Chaitanya, the unconscious God in the original absolute vacuum state is now fully conscious or super conscious of his original state of God in the beyond state. So exactly what we uh, were saying in the last few minutes. So you're experiencing what was experienced unconsciously as now being fully conscious, but it is nothing but the original state of God in the beyond state, right? This passing away in the absolute vacuum of the original state of God is called attaining the fana of the seventh plane of consciousness. So this is the fana, right? This in Sufi terms, Baba goes on, in Sufi terms, fana means passing away in. Fana has two stages. In the first stage of fana is the conscious experience of the absolute vacuum state. And the second stage of fana or fana phila, and the second stage of fana or fana phila is the conscious experience of the I am God state. So the fana is split into two. Right?
Okay. I want to make a comment here. The word
Yeah.
fana here, passing away in, technically should be written as the real fana or the final fana, because fana is experienced by the mass between the first plane and the six planes. So there are different degrees of fana in the planes of involution. So the seventh plane fana is the real final fana, which has two stages here. One is the passing away in, which is the Mahachaitanya, where consciousness is and God is not, which is what will come to you. And only after passing through nirvana, manonash, or this first stage of real fana, can then, for some people, they go into fana phila, which is Sachitananda, the second stage of real fana. Okay.
Okay, let's continue. Fana phila, the second stage, is the goal of God in the man state, where God in human form, that is, as man, ultimately realizes the I am God state with full consciousness. This is the state of final Madzubiyat, as it is termed by the Sufis. State of final Madzubiyat. Okay, again, not to be confused just with Madzubs, but final Madzubiyat, right? So this is I am God state, but key thing again underlined is full consciousness. All this is about
So
Fanafila.
one more thing, because it's written as the state of final Matsubiyat, which is again, in the table of 56 God realized souls, there are Matsubs, right? You're only in the God consciousness state, but not in body
Not in
consciousness,
the
right? So, in a way, the Fana state of the Mas between the first to the sixth plane of
six
involution
planes.
can also be called at different kinds of Matsubiyat. This is just my implication, nothing
Your
else.
conjecture, which
Construction,
could
yeah,
be
because
right. Yeah,
technically Matsub is for the final state only. When you become God realized and you're in the Matsub stage. But since here he says state of final Matsubiyat, just like the final
final Fana.
Fana, the real Fana.
Yeah.
So again, the ambiguity of the English language. What can you do? See, this was edited by Ivy Dews and John Stevens. Okay. And there is a beautiful chapter in that 75 years of the Glow International, How God Speaks was edited. So that's why I am making that comment. Okay, well,
And what's the point you're making about what's covered in that chapter? If you can throw some light on how that's relevant here.
okay, basically what happened was when Baba went in 1952 for the first, to Myrtle Beach, that's when he had the first draft of the God Speaks. Okay.
Okay.
And he gave both what he had dictated to Erich plus what our friend
Don Stevens. Is it just me or everybody's not able to listen to Kama?
Not able to hear.
and
Yeah.
Ivy used to edit.
CD Deshmukh, I think he might
Sorry.
have to probably mention.
Yeah, I
CD
went out of the
Deshmukh?
network.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Start from Murty
So what
Beach.
happened was that then, can you hear me?
Yeah. Now we can.
Sorry. So what happened was the first, so they were editing, and then what happened was then they gave the draft to Baba again, and then again Baba made some changes, and then he told them that now you do the final editing and go publish it. Don't come back for more questions. Okay. Then after the first edition got published, then you had those questions from different readers, which became the book Beams.
Teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point. So what I was trying to say is the editing was done by these two people, Don Stevens and Ibitius. And that is why Sufism reoriented as the copyright of God Speaks
Even now,
also.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, even now. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Let's continue. Much before the first stage of Fana is attained, first stage being absolute vacuum, God in the man state, as man, had full consciousness of the limited ego or I, mind, energy, body, and the world in an ordinary awake state, because the full consciousness of God in the man state as man was directly focused on them through their finite impressions. Simple line. If you want, I'll read it again. Much before the first stage of fana is attained, God in the man state as man had full consciousness of the limited ego or I, mind, energy, body, and the world in an ordinary awake state, because the full consciousness of God in the man state as man was directly focused on them through their finite impressions. As soon as the consciousness of
I think this sentence is sort of a definition. I think we need to mark it out. So they have put everything in one sentence.
yeah, so this is actually explaining the journey, the whole journey, right? So in and all this is, please note, only in the ordinary awake state, because in the sleeping state he is completely in having an unconscious experience of Godhood, and in the dream state he is going into the subtle world. So the only in the ordinary awake state with full consciousness, the man focuses on mind, energy, body, and the creation, apart from using his ego of I.
Yeah.
And why? Because of the finite impressions. So, like Mamadi said, the whole thing is very, very, it's applicable to literally everybody who's not in fana. Continuing, and as soon as
Jai Baba, I
yeah,
just wanted to add that the stages of sleep in Listen Humanity is also correlated with this.
yes,
Jai Baba.
okay, sure, thanks. And as soon as the consciousness of God, and continuing reading, and as soon as the consciousness of God in the man state as man began to involve, the involved consciousness experienced gradually the six planes of sub-super consciousness through impressions gathered and spent in each of the six planes. When the sub-super consciousness completely involved, that is, was withdrawn inwards towards himself, then God, in the man state, as man, gained the seventh plane of superconsciousness, devoid of all impressions. This was the final stage in attaining the goal. So, superconsciousness is after sub-superconsciousness. Experience gradually the six planes, and their impressions were still there, and that's during the six planes. Okay,
Impressions
when
gathered and spent.
gathered and spent. Then, yeah, then you come to the seventh plane.
Jai Baba, I think you can also underline the last line. This
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah.
final stage in attaining the goal.
Correct. Okay, I continue. Simultaneously, with the complete involution of consciousness and on gaining super consciousness, the mind is finally completely annihilated and vanishes once and for all time together with once and for all time together with all impressions. So this is mind is fully completely annihilated when you gain super consciousness, and it is gone once and for all with all its impressions. The false experiences of the limited ego or I,
I
mind,
think you
energy.
forgot to underline this vanity.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. The false experiences of the limited ego or I, mind, energy, body, and the world all disappear forever, vanishing completely, because all these experiences were but the outcome of the impressions gathered out of the nothing, which literally meant nothing and were nothing. If you read that,
I have a question here. When we talked about everything and nothing, we had four aspects: real everything, real nothing, nothing, false everything. So the question here is that this nothing that is being expressed here, is it probably a combination of both real nothing and false nothing, or just take it as nothing? Or maybe that was just a symbolic representation.
very, very good question. I think it's like you said, it's a combination of real and false nothing. And because it's literally everything else other than God, right? Others, any comments?
Oh, the whole gamut of nothing, including the real and the false.
That's what, yeah.
In the
Questions?
supplement, there is something about these four different, divisions: the real everything, and false everything, and real nothing, and false nothing. I don't know which supplement number it is, but it would be interesting to see what it has to say.
So, if I remember correct, you're referring to, just remember this page, we'll come back, 126. Are you referring to yeah, are you referring to this? It's not a supplement. There is brief explanation
Actually,
of
that is one thing. That is a
Meher
graphic
Baba's
presentation.
explanation of chart 7. Yeah, this one.
There is one thing, but try to
Yeah,
do find and say real everything and see what you get.
from
False
actually, I'll
nothing.
do it in the supplement. So, which is what you wanted.
So go further.
Okay.
The previous one. You just missed it.
This is about Spana
I
and
saw the
Baka.
real. I saw the real everything.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw
it's
it.
there. It's there. Here, here.
Um,
This is what you saw.
okay, go further. Okay. Okay. Go.
I think we'll come to this anyway very soon because it's after Baka.
Okay, keep
Let's
going.
go.
Everything.
Okay.
You're going down below, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I
I'm
saw
going
that.
down. Yeah, top to down.
Keep going.
No, I'll tell you what you saw, where you stopped me. This one. This is what you saw. We were here, right?
This one.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
False nothing equal to false everything. Spana and Fana. Okay, so anyway, we'll come to this in 5 minutes. I'm sure.
Okay, we might come here. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
because 128. So we are at 126. Yeah, we'll come to it in 5 minutes.
Page 126.
Thanks. Okay, let's continue. Consequently, with the vanishing of the limited ego or I, mind, energy, body, typifying happiness, and worlds with all of their corresponding paraphernalia, a state of absolute vacuum is spontaneously experienced by the consciousness, which remains eternally when once it is gained. At the stage of God, in the man state as man, with full consciousness as super consciousness, is now only conscious of absolute vacuum. The consciousness is now fixed and focused on absolute vacuum itself. I have a question. So when you say typifying happiness, is the reference only to body or it's everything else? I'm assuming it's only to body.
Only to body.
No,
Yeah.
body.
Okay.
No, body means gross, subtle, and mental bodies.
Yes.
No, I think it's only gross. So
Oh, because happiness,
happiness,
when you have a good thought, when you have good feeling, that's also part of happiness, which is part of the mental body, not just the physical sensations. Happiness can also be derived from both physical and mental sensations.
correct.
Also, it is suggesting the scope of happiness and bliss.
Yeah, that's where
So,
I'm going,
yes,
which
happiness
is
means
a
it is only
body
referable to
experience.
the appendices that we have body, mind, everything. But whereas bliss is experienced beyond that.
Yeah.
Jay Baba, these words and words with all of their corresponding paraphernalia. So the words is plural. So it would it implies it is all words. That is uh, gross world, subtle world, and mental
Yeah,
worlds.
correct. We're splitting hairs in the sense that the intention here is everything ceases to exist, right? And at this time, the only thing that remains is the focus, the full consciousness as super consciousness is now conscious only of absolute vacuum. Sorry. And it's fixed and focused only there. So there's no mind, there's no energy, there's no body, there's no worlds.
Very
And Baba
controversial thing,
says all their
keep
corresponding
talking about it.
paraphernalia. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Kama now.
No, what I meant was, is it bliss state, absolute vacuum state? Because remember, when we are in
Have we lost him? Sorry.
Yeah, I think. No, it's just his network.
Jay Baba, I think the key word is absolute vacuum.
Yeah.
the time. Sorry, I'm out of the
Okay.
network. That's why.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So I was just
Once again, we lost you.
Yeah.
Kama, you're in absolute vacuum
Kama.
now.
Yes, yes. Okay, I think let's continue. This
yeah.
vacuum is absolute in its entirety. Vacuum alone prevails, and there is an entire absence of the nothing as well, big nothing, as well as of the everything. So this vacuum has entire absence of the big nothing as well as of the big everything. This is therefore called the divine absolute vacuum. And it is not born of illusion, but it is born of reality. So why is Baba saying this? Oh, okay, it's post-illusion. So the point that's being made, it's post-illusion and it's hence born of reality. Okay, let's continue. This state of divine vacuum prevails just at the instant when the big nothing disappears or vanishes, and just immediately before the big everything fills in that vacuum to give conscious experience of the reality of the I am God state. So now we are moving to the next thing, post vacuum. So this state of divine vacuum where is followed by the big nothing disappearing or vanishes, and everything fills in that vacuum to give conscious experience of the reality of the I am God state. This is the first stage of fana, where all that is of the nothing vanishes completely, the big nothing, and where the super consciousness is focused only on absolute vacuum, which now prevails as it prevails eternally in the original God is state of the God in original divine sound sleep. Right? So here it is. Let's continue. Therefore, in the first stage of fana, the consciousness of God in the man state as man is not of the limited self or ego or I, mind, energy, body, and worlds, nor is the consciousness even of God or the unlimited self or ego or I. Universal mind, unbounded energy, universal body, and universes. All of this it's not. I repeat. It's not of the ego, the limited self or ego, I, mind, energy, body, worlds, consciousness even of God, or of the unlimited self or ego or I, not of the universal mind, not of unbounded energy, not of universal body and universes. Because in this first stage of fana, only the consciousness of absolute vacuum prevails. This vacuum is also divine. It is not of illusion, but it is of reality. In this first stage of fana, the superconsciousness of God in the man state as man experiences the passing away in the absolute vacuum state of the original God is state, and thus conscious now only of absolute vacuum. So this para is a summary and a complete repetition of everything that has been said in the previous page and a half, right? So we can actually, yeah, I think I'm not going to mark anything because it's a repetition. As has already been said, this same absolute vacuum state is also established in the everyday sound sleep state of a normal man, where the limited ego or I, mind, energy, body, and the worlds also vanish, and the consciousness gained remains dormant. So here there's a new phraseology to describe what happens in the sound sleep state. Baba says consciousness gained remains dormant. Now the difference is brought out. The only difference, which truly makes a world of difference between the absolute vacuum state of the everyday sound sleep state of man and the experience of the absolute vacuum in the first stage of fana, is that although the same absolute vacuum is established also in fana, yet in fana, the consciousness no longer remains dormant. In this stage, it is fully and completely matured consciousness, now actually experiencing the very same absolute vacuum state as the original state of God. So the only keyword here is this is fully matured consciousness and hence is able to go back to the same vacuum state.
Jay Baba, the original state of God relates to the beyond state of God.
Correct.
Thanks.
This is the key thing. I continue. The experience of the first stage of fana is of the nirvana state. Nirvana is the state where apparently God is not. This is the only state where God is not and consciousness is. This experience of the first stage of fana is what Buddha emphasized. But later on, it was misinterpreted as Buddha having emphasized that there was no God. The reality, however, is that God is, but in the absolute vacuum state of the first stage of fana, only consciousness remains experiencing absolute vacuum. So this is a very, very important paragraph, epoch-making paragraph, which will be discussed again and again. So here Baba says, Nirvana is where God is not and consciousness is. And okay, yeah, I continue. As it can never happen for God not to exist, in the state of nirvana, God plays the part of consciousness itself, which consciousness is sometimes termed as super consciousness or Mahachaitanya. So that's a question that can crop up as to what happens to God in the absolute vacuum state, because God is eternal. So, as God is eternal, in the divine absolute vacuum, God takes on the role of consciousness, and hence it's referred to as Mahachaitanya or super consciousness. The second stage of fana follows this nirvana state, and the I am God state is experienced consciously. So you go from the God is not to the I am God. However, it is only in some cases that the first stage of fana is immediately followed by the second stage of fana called fana phila, where the annihilated false and limited ego or I is replaced by the real and infinite unlimited I, on which the super consciousness now becomes automatically focused. Simultaneously, the absolute vacuum is automatically filled by the experience of the infinite. Key thing here, it is only in some cases that the first stage of fana is immediately followed by the second stage of fana called fana phila, where the annihilated false and limited ego or I is replaced by the real and infinite unlimited I. And the superconsciousness now becomes focused on that. Simultaneously, the absolute vacuum is automatically filled by the experience of the infinite.
Jay
The
Baba, I
super
think the key word is automatically focused. Come up, please.
automatically, but not
Autom-
uh, not for everybody at the same time.
Yeah, not for everybody, but automatically focused.
Yeah.
So there's a progression. There's a progression in this.
Correct. Selective progression.
Yeah, selected progression.
Yeah. The superconsciousness of, I'm continuing reading, the superconsciousness of God in the man state as man, now fixed and focused on the unlimited I, spontaneously identifies man with God, the infinite. Simultaneously with the identification, the superconsciousness of God, the infinite, experiences the I am God state. This is the goal. So now we are already in the superconsciousness state from DAV, from divine absolute vacuum. Now you're experiencing God the infinite, and that is the goal.
Can you go back and tell what is actually the experience in Fana and what is the difference in experience in Fana Phila?
I give my words, or you want me to go back and read? So Fana
Either way,
is,
to
yeah,
make it clear, because there is some overlapping or understanding is not clear.
okay, I'll go to this paragraph. This is the best paragraph. Therefore, in the first state, now this is only nirvana, divine absolute vacuum, or Fana. All three are the same. Therefore, in the first stage of Fana, the consciousness of God in the man state as man is not of the limited self or ego or I, mind, energy, body, and worlds, nor is the consciousness even of God or of the unlimited self or ego or I, universal mind, unbounded energy, universal body, and the universes. Because in this first stage of Fana, only the consciousness of absolute vacuum prevails. This vacuum is also divine. It is not of illusion, but it is of reality. In this first stage of Fana, the super consciousness of God in the man state as man experiences the passing away in the absolute vacuum state of the original God is state and is thus conscious now only of absolute vacuum. So here it's
So God in the beyond state
but with consciousness,
is conscious.
right? It's going back to the beyond state, but with consciousness. The experience of knowledge, power, and bliss is not there. The experience of the worlds is not there, but you're now conscious of it. You're conscious of that vacuum state. And from that, some people make the progression to Fanafina, which is what something we just started.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you can read the following paragraph also now.
Yeah. You mean above? Yeah, as has already been said, this same absolute vacuum state is also established in the everyday sound sleep state of a normal man, where the limited ego or I, mind, energy, body, and the worlds also vanish, and the consciousness gain remains dormant. I mean, that's the sleep versus beyond the beyond versus nirvana. So that's different. I mean, he's contrasting that. And the next two paras are about that. So let's go down. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
But what
Now,
is the
Panafila, I'll
exact
read.
difference between the sound sleep state and the Panafila?
Consciousness is dormant in sound sleep, and in Panafila, consciousness is fully focused on nothing, on vacuum. So in sound sleep, you consciousness is equal to zero, and impressions also are dormant. So if you go to, I'll read that paragraph.
Yes.
Yeah, as has already been said, this same absolute vacuum state is also established in the everyday sound sleep of a normal man, where the limited ego or I, mind, energy, body, and the worlds also vanish, and the consciousness gained remains dormant. Consciousness gained means consciousness gained through evolution and reaching a certain point, that also becomes dormant. And all the worlds and mind, energy, body also becomes dormant, and which means impressions are dormant. So they reach the state of near to DAV, divine absolute vacuum, but there is no consciousness. So it's not a conscious experience.
Can continue further from there.
Yeah. The only difference, which truly makes a world of difference between the absolute vacuum state of the everyday sound sleep state of man and the experience of the absolute vacuum in the first stage of fana, is that although the same absolute vacuum is established also in fana, yet in fana, the consciousness no longer remains dormant. In this stage, it is fully and completely matured consciousness, now actually experiencing the very same absolute vacuum state as the original state of God. So now you're completely conscious and completely focused on the original state of God, which is the very absolute vacuum state.
But not
Difference
the
between
experience of I am God.
I am God. That's next. You're coming.
Yes.
So I'll read on from here itself.
Yes.
The, the experience of the first stage of fana is of the nirvana state. Nirvana is that state where apparently God is not. This is the only state where God is not and consciousness is. This experience of the first stage of fana is what Buddha emphasized, but later on it was misinterpreted as Buddha having emphasized that there was no God. The reality, however, is that God is, but in the absolute vacuum state of the first stage of fana, only consciousness remains experiencing absolute vacuum. As it can never happen for God not to exist, in the state of nirvana, God plays the part of consciousness itself, which consciousness is sometimes termed superconsciousness or Mahachaitanya.
So
The
God
second
plays
state,
the part of consciousness itself.
consciousness in nirvana, yes.
Okay.
So in the state of nirvana, that drop soul, uh, drop soul's consciousness is divinity, is God.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we go to Panafila, right? However, it is only in some cases.
Before one more sentence.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. The second stage of fana follows this nirvana state, and the I am God state is experienced consciously. However, it is only in some cases that the first stage of fana is immediately followed by the second stage of fana called fana phila, where the annihilated false and limited ego or I is replaced by the real and infinite unlimited I, on which the superconsciousness now becomes automatically focused. Simultaneously, the absolute vacuum is automatically filled by the experience of the infinite. The superconsciousness of God in the man state, as man, now fixed and focused on the unlimited I, spontaneously identifies with spontaneously identifies man with God the infinite. Simultaneously, with the identification, the superconsciousness of God, the infinite experiences the I am God states. This is the goal. So please note, here Baba is saying superconsciousness of God the infinite experiences the I am God state. Because by this stage, you are in superconsciousness state. In the previous stage, you were focused on the divine absolute vacuum. And in this state, you're experiencing the I am God state, which is the experience of the infinity. Okay. Now, attainment of the goal. Okay, let me highlight this also. This is the goal, why we are reading this book. And attainment of the goal is to attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And there is a footnote. The soul has necessarily to pass through the state of nirvana to attain big L liberation, mukti. Escape from the round of birth and death is attained both in nirvana and nirvikalpa. So if you reach nirvana, you are done from the cycles of birth and death. It is because of this that nirvana is supposed to be the goal. But the fact is that the real goal for one in human form is to attain nirvikalpa. And there is a world of difference between nirvana as goal and nirvikalpa, the goal. And the difference is the experience of infinity. Okay. Just as man, and continuing reading on the top, just
Can
as
we have
man,
the proper the meaning of Nirvikalpa word?
Sanskrit meaning?
Yes, whatever is, because
Choiceless awareness. Vikalpa is choice. Nirvikalpa is choiceless awareness. But that's the literal meaning. One second. Nirvikalpa is a Sanskrit term. Okay, let me get this to the screen. Without doubt or without alternative, without determination, referring to a state of thoughtless, non-conceptual. This is literal meaning. Yeah, and this is Sanskrit. एक रस एवं एक रूप रहने वाला निश्चल स्थिर. Okay. That which is free of thought. So in more than thought, I think Vikalpa is choice. Undifferentiated trance, ecstasy or samadhi, unimaginable. Okay, it also means unimaginable, means no thought. Does that help?
yes.
Okay, all right, let's go back.
No, when I mean by Vikalpa means slightly edging towards duality, because it can be this, it can be that. That way of confusion is there. So
Correct.
that is also last, Nirvikalpa.
Correct. There's no choice, there's no decision, there is no options, and you're only so when or it's so to see it from the concept of infinity. Infinity includes all choices, so that's the point here,
Yes.
right? So infinity includes all choices, and it's the sphere of infinity rather than specificity of a choice over another, right? Let's continue. Just as man goes to sleep every night and must wake up every day in the state of man, so also when one goes into divine sleep, one must wake up in the divine. Similarly, the first stage of fana is the sound sleep state with full consciousness, and the second stage of fana, which is fana phila, is the state of awakening in God as God. Ah, this is interesting. So what happens is Divine sleep is first state of fana, divine sound sleep, okay, with full consciousness. And the second stage of fana, which is fana phila, is the state of awakening in God as God. Okay. So now if you see the supplement reference 20 is coming up. So instead of starting the next paragraph, I propose we go to supplement 20. Fana and fana phila. Fana is the state of unconscious consciousness. So it's confusing here. Fana is the state of unconscious consciousness. In fana phila, soul is unconscious of everything except self, biggest self, being God. Before the soul loses its human state and gains the divine state of nirvikalpa, it has to experience the vacuum state of nirvana. I paused because this line is confusing. In fana phila, in fana phila. Okay. He's defining fana and fana phila. Fana is the state of unconscious consciousness. In fana phila, soul is unconscious of everything except biggest self being God. So these are the two definitions if you want to look at it that way. Now we'll continue. Before the soul loses its human state and gains the divine state of nirvikalpa, it has to experience the vacuum state of nirvana. Nirvana is the infinite vacuum, state in which the soul is conscious of the real nothing. So it's not false and real nothing, it's real nothing. And if in the state of nirvana, the human body is dropped, one passes into a state of the infinite bliss of God. So you get the experience only of infinite bliss. In some cases, nirvana is immediately and inevitably followed by nirvikalpa or panaphila, where the soul is fully conscious of real everything. So let's say this is the key thing. So in nirvana, you experience real nothing, and in panaphila, you experience real everything. Nirvana and nirvikalpa are so closely linked that each can be said to be the divine goal. False nothing equal to false everything. Real nothing equal to neither everything nor nothing. Real everything equal to God the infinite. So false nothing is easy. It's just everything in illusion. The real nothing is neither everything nor nothing. Okay, he's explaining in the next paragraph. False nothing leads to false everything. And false nothing. Okay, that's how we have to read this. Okay. False nothing leads to false everything, and real nothing leads to real everything. False nothing is linked to false everything. False nothing is linked to false everything, and real nothing, big nothing, is linked to real big everything. Eventually, false nothing ends in false everything, and real nothing ends in real everything. In duality, false nothing is false everything. False nothing is false everything. Okay. In unity, real nothing and real everything are one. Aha. So how are the How are the reactions? How are the comments? There's quite a lot of confusion in this one paragraph. I'm going to read it again slowly. Only the para. False nothing leads to false everything. And I think I will read it in the small and big way, right? So false, small nothing leads to false, small everything. And real, big nothing leads to real, big everything. False, small nothing is linked to false, small everything. It's the same as it leads to false everything. And real, big nothing is linked to real, big everything. Eventually, false nothing ends in false everything, and real, big nothing ends in real everything. In duality, false nothing is false everything. In unity, real, big nothing and real everything are one. I think it's clear, right? So in duality, false nothing is false everything. In unity, real nothing and real everything are one. So let's
I think
just
that is the
pause here.
crux of the
Yeah,
last line.
exactly. Last
And if
line
you
covers
imagine
everything.
that chart of the circle, so the nothing is a part of everything. So everything encompasses nothing also.
Exactly. So that circle you're referring to is everything and the nothing. Correct?
Yes.
Uh, which chapter was it?
No, that is one of the charts in the text itself. No.
No, but we also saw another chart which I liked more.
Ah,
I was okay. I'm not able to get it now, but
Is,
if I
is,
see it,
is it the chart of real illusion? Something of
no. But
real.
what's the chapter name? I think it's last time I opened it.
Which book is this?
This is everything and the nothing. I have the showman. I think we should read this again. This book, I mean. Yeah, this one. One original and real nothing. So if you go to this, it. So real nothing, real everything. And like you said, in duality, false nothing equal to real everything. And once you transcend duality, you recognize that the big nothing also is part of the big everything. Right? Maybe this diagram was not as relevant. You can pick a chart which you were thinking of, Mama. Which one were you wanting? This one?
this one.
Exactly. Anyway, so if we come back, let's read. Oh no, we have to read in the supplement. So further, Meher Baba has also made the following points. Number one, the real goal is to realize God in human form, but those who drop their bodies before attaining God realization, that is, those who drop their bodies in the state of nirvana before attaining the state of nirvikalpa, their goal is liberation, mukti from the cycle of rebirth. They experience infinite bliss only. So we saw that in the main text in the footnote, right? So if you see in the footnote, uh, where is it?
This
Okay, maybe
person is attained both in nirvana and nirvikalpa.
correct. But then where did we see the reference to uh, attaining bliss? Yeah, here. In some cases, okay, I mean, just, yeah, here it is. Let me underline that.
Infinite.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's the first one. Second one, the individuality of the one who attains Nirvikalpa state is retained as infinite and unlimited even after dropping the human body, and there is a continuous experience of I am God, but the one who attains. Okay, no, that's the next line. So I'll repeat the second point. The individuality of the one who attains Nirvikalpa state, so this is Phanafila, is retained as infinite and unlimited even after dropping the human body, and there is a continuous experience of I am God. So this nails it. I think we have not read this clearly earlier. This nails our doubt, Mamaji. The individuality is retained as infinite and unlimited even after dropping the human body, and there is a continuous experience of the I am God state. But the one who attains mukti, liberation, experiences only I am Anand, which is only bliss. This is for the uh, MOM folks, right? I am infinite bliss. And this limits his experience of unlimited individuality of I am infinite power, knowledge, bliss simultaneously. So he does not get the full deal.
Yes,
Number
you'll
three.
have to underline that. I am infinite power, knowledge, and this. That is the.
But he
So they
doesn't
have
get it.
only
So that's
one
why,
component.
correct. Yeah. Number three, infinite knowledge is the most important aspect of the trio nature of God when an individual realizes God in human form. Okay, so knowledge is superior to bliss and power. Jnaneva satyam. When an infinite bliss remains the important aspect of one's experience, when one has dropped one's body in the state of nirvana and attains mukti, that is liberation, as the goal. So that is already covered above. 4. Majzub-e-Kamil experiences infinite knowledge, power, bliss simultaneously, and when he comes down to normal consciousness, that is, when he is also duality conscious, and is no more in the state of Majzub-e-Kamil, he not only experiences knowledge, power, bliss, but also uses them while having his human body. Now, is Majzub Kamil, when he is having infinite knowledge, power, bliss, and knowledge of the creation, is he equal to perfect master? So this, I'm not sure, but this is just a fact that's introduced here as well. Okay. Majzub Kamil. This needs some research or research or correlation. That's what I mean. Okay. So let's get back to the main text and start from here. When the first stage of fana is immediately followed by the second stage of fana phila, in some cases, the consciousness of the limited I, self, mind, energy, body, and the worlds does not come back, but the consciousness, now as super consciousness of the unlimited I, only exists as identified with the universal self, God. The super consciousness now experiences the I am God, Brahmasmi, or Anal Hak state. This is the experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, meaning thereby, undoubtedly I am God. This is experienced because in Phanafila, the Atma consciously merges completely in Paramatma, or in Phanafila, the soul achieves complete union with the oversoul. So, that is another way of seeing it. Is undoubtedly and God merges completely ma in big P Paramatma, complete union with over souls. So this is the real goal. But again, I repeat, I am okay with MOM. Only bliss.
only doubt I have is seriously we that individuality is retained was mentioned in the phenomena state.
Supplement, yes.
So, Karthik,
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
to go stage wise. You want to achieve nirvana or MOM.
No, MOM is nirvana. So
Yes.
after nirvana, you get MOM, and that's it. You're out of the cycle of births and deaths. You get
Yes.
infinite bliss, and end of story. Your individuality is sustained, but you don't have any more births. Yeah, Mamaji, to your question on individuality, repeat. I didn't quite follow. This is the reference where the persistence or sustenance of individuality is after dropping the body as well,
Yeah. The
right?
individuality of the one who attains nirvikalpa state is retained as infinite and unlimited even after dropping the human body, and there is a continuous experience of I am God. But the
Correct.
one who attains mukti, the end of the he experiences I am Ananda. But
Correct.
after this, if you read the what we read now,
Hmm.
no,
Okay.
well, you come back to the text.
Yeah.
The last line, undoubtedly I am God. This is the experience because in Phanafila, the Atma consciously merges completely in Paramatma, or in the Phanafila, the soul achieves complete union with the oversoul. So there we talked about the individuality retained.
Hmm.
There
And
is
here the
union.
word merge is there.
How do we gel these two together?
Valid doubt. So the I don't have an answer to that, quite honestly. So
What I
is
thought
the
earlier was, so all the Atmas which have realized God or gone into the phase of Panafilla, they remain as it is. They don't have rebirth or anything, but they exist as individual conscious souls. So that looks like the meaning of what we read earlier. But here there is complete union with the oversoul. That means there is only one soul remaining at the end. So there are no other realized souls to exist.
so it's a matter of more research that we need to do.
How do we
This
tell
is
this?
no, there's no easy answer. So we have to find a Baba answer in some other text here, or to find it through other people who have had the same question, right? So to put your question in other words, uh, is there the preservation of the individual soul's
Absolutely
identity or
right.
in whatever form after you reach Nirvikalpa Samadhi? We don't, and the supplement seems to suggest that, but the main text seems to suggest a union where that identity is no longer preserved and it's merged with the oversoul, right? So it's something that we need to research more.
Now, one
It-
more key takeaway from today's reading is that knowledge is
Superior to bliss and
related to bliss and power. Yes. So that is I mean, a very profound thing which comes out of today's reading.
it's in a way sad because all of us on this call will get motivated to read more. Right?
No, between
Oh,
knowledge, power, and bliss, bliss is sort of a satisfying experience, uh, whereas power is the outcome of that experience. What all I can do with this experience. That sort of slight amount of ego is attached with the experience of power, because you would like to exercise that power, either to test it or to say, enjoy the outcome, the false outcome of that. So whereas knowledge encompasses all these things, you are aware, you are awake, but you don't use it. That is the ultimate stage. That's how I look at these three aspects.
uh, that's a good way of justifying the superiority of knowledge, because yeah, or the pecking order. Let's do one more paragraph, maybe. Stop. Yeah. This experience is the goal, and it was attained only after the evolution of the consciousness latent in the nothing took place, when the latent finite big nothing manifested as infinite nothingness. The evolved consciousness, while infinitely entangling itself in the field of the nothingness, experienced this false and finite nothingness as real and infinite. Ultimately, when this consciousness involved, it gradually experienced, I think it should be experienced, the infinite falsity of the infinitely false nothingness, and eventually realized the infinite reality of the God, the infinite, as the big everything, beyond doubt and beyond limitations, and as eternal existence in the I am God state of Anapila. This is just a summary and repetition. So you go from now, this makes sense. So you focus on the infinite small nothings which come out of the real nothing, and you apparently take that to be real till such time that you get to disregard these temporary nothings and go to the real everything, and that happens in the inward journey of your involution.
I have a question.
Please go back to that diagram.
Yeah, on the diagram only, I have a question.
Oh, okay, yeah. 1 second.
So the diagram is very thought provoking. So uh, the original real everything is the reality, and the creation or false everything is in duality. So
Yes,
is that way of understanding for simple understanding?
it's a projection of the nothing, where the nothingness is taken to be real by us through
Yeah.
impressions.
So that is the duality.
Yes,
Yes. And
it's the false. It's the false everything. Yeah.
these uh, smaller dots surrounding
Yeah.
the bigger dots here is the process of removal of this awareness of this nothing as real. So that is the process
Correct.
that we achieve by involution. And once
Even
that is
evolution.
completed, this false everything, original real nothing will come into this original real everything. So we
Yes.
realize that everything is real. But
Correct.
this we imagine this nothingness as real. So that process of awakening is to remove this false idea and go back to the original real everything idea.
Correct. And there are multiple temporary nothings that we project and associate and identify with iteratively, one after another, till we get to the big real everything.
Yes.
Karthik, can we read that? Just if it's okay. I
Yeah,
know we
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure.
the original real everything is infinite and eternal. This
I think
paragraph.
it's no, we can. It's just one page, so we can read it if everybody's okay. The
I'm
original, yeah, the original real everything is infinite and eternal. Being everything, it accommodates within itself the original real nothing. That is this one. Nothing is the shadow of everything. The substance, which is everything, being infinite and eternal, its shadow must also be infinite and eternal. So, this is key. At times, the shadow appears to be small and at times to stretch into huge shapes. But even when it seems to have disappeared, it is still within the substance latently. So, if the shadow is the best way to understand nothing. So if you stand at noon, you will not see a shadow at all. But do you say that the shadow is not there? It is there. So every time there is everything, there is nothing. There is no way to escape that. As the day progresses before and after noon, you have different shapes. But all those different shapes are actually nothing. They are only a shadow of yourself. So I like that analogy very much. I'm sorry for digressing. Let's continue. Back to the text. Out of the nothing contained with the everything is projected infinite and eternal nothingness. So, from that nothing contained within the everything is projected infinite and eternal nothingness, which is nothing but creation or false everything. The original real everything is one, infinite, and eternal. Original real nothing being in the real everything is also one, infinite, and eternal. But the false everything that is projected from the real nothing, comprising innumerable nothings or all things in creation, is innately and unendingly dual. Exactly what Ashokji said. It is in duality. Within these nothings, the small nothings, are innumerable temporary nothings, such as what is the matter with you? Nothing. What did you eat? Nothing. What is in your hand? Nothing. What do you see? Nothing. And so there is no end to the action and reaction of the experience of nothingness by the innumerable nothings of false everything, which are projected from the one original real nothing, which is infinite, which is this small circle, which so the challenge in this diagram is this also is infinite. Don't forget, though it looks finite here, because it's the shadow. If it's the shadow, it has to be infinite. The original real everything is infinite and eternal. Now everything in it is the original real nothing. Innumerable nothings manifest out of the one original real nothing, and from these nothings is a continuous flow of temporary nothings. And so there are nothings and the no things of nothing, which the one original real nothing within. Sorry, read this line again. And so there are nothings and the no things of nothing within the one original real nothing. When you compare these nothings with the one original real nothing, they are indeed nothing. That is the outside circle. Nothing is in everything. Everything would not be complete, whole, without nothing. The nothing that is in everything gives birth to nothing that seems everything, the apparent reality. Because nothing is, everything seems to be. All activity, everywhere in creation, is but a play of everything and nothing. When there is a complete cessation of this activity, the nothing prevails. When this nothing is attained, you have everything. This is DAV, divine absolute vacuum. Relatively, therefore, the nothing is everything. Whereas that which we call everything, small e now, is nothing. So, very profound.
Indeed. It reminds me, if I can just digress, it reminds me of 0 and 1, where 0 is nothing and 1 is everything.
Correct. Where did we stop now? This velocity of the photon. Yeah, this right here, just here. Okay. Any thoughts before we wrap up?
A very powerful session.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Thank you. Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba. So Ravi didn't join today. Okay, no problem.
Yes, he did.
Jai Baba.
Okay. All right.
Kama came in and then went out and came back again. Any
Yes.
closing thoughts by Kama?
Jai Baba.
Oh,
Jai Baba.
we have Singapore, Nomita and
Sunilji.
Okay, I'll stop recording at this point.